All right, what's going on, guys? What's going on, 27 Squad? Welcome back into another video, and finally, we have the official 53-man roster. The Giants took a long time to do this. They were like I believe, 30th out of 32 teams to release their 53-man roster. Took all the way up until now for us to get this thing. So there was a confusion. The reason being is that Javarius Owens was kind of confusingly the 54th man on the roster. And you guys know by 4 p.m. the Giants need to get down to 53-man roster. And it looked like Javarius Owens was like the guy left out, but he was the 54th man. Turns out Matthew Adams, who made the roster, is going to be on short-term IR. And so he is kind of excluded from that. And that brings on Javarius Owens. Isaiah McKenzie was thought to be on the roster as well, but he is on season-ending injury reserve. So there's that. All right. So I'm trying to get it where my mic can pick me up good because I've been having some audio issues lately, trying to get my audio loud enough. I've been having like boost up my mic in like post-production. So anyway, all right, so let's get on to the roster reaction. But first, a word from our sponsor. This video is being sponsored by BetUS, America's favorite sportsbook. BetUS is the only sportsbook that is offering a 125% sign-up bonus up to $2,000 on your first 3 deposits. You are not getting a better deal than that on any market. So sign up today and get on these future odds before the season even starts. Before the Giants played the Texans in the preseason, Malik Nabers was a whole plus 1,500 to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. After the game, it went down to plus 1,000. So hurry up and take advantage of this bet, because the more that Malik Nabers starts to show off that skill, the less that number is going to be. Right now, I am going to take that bet to the house, and I'm going to be hoping that Malik Nabers wins Offensive Rookie of the Year. And listen, this won't be the first time a Giants wide receiver from LSU wins that award. Best of luck to everybody, and make sure you bet responsibly. All right, so here is the 53-man roster, and you've got the captains here. The captains are highlighted. There's only 5 captains this year, which is great. So we don't have 10 captains. That was so weird. Now we have Daniel Jones, I believe, Andrew Thomas, Bobby Okereke, Dexter Lawrence, and Casey Crater. So there's that. I believe last year you had guys like the likes of Leo, I believe, Saquon, Casey Crater, and Graham Gano, and a bunch of other guys. So it's good that they just shortened it down. All right, so let's get into this, man. There are a lot of surprises and a lot of shock that came with a lot of these cuts. However, one thing we have to know is if the Giants are cutting like good talent, sometimes it's a good thing, right? If they're cutting talent that you think performed well and they're letting them go, that may mean like we're trending in the right direction. It's always a good problem to have when you're cutting good talent, because that means the guys that you're confident in the guys that you have instead. You know what I'm saying? So not every cut means that they made a mistake. They just had too much guys at that position. You know what I'm saying? So, all right, let's start with the quarterbacks. Obviously, Daniel Jones, Tommy DeVito, Drew Lock. There was some, rumblings that DeVito may not make the roster because of his kind of poor performance as in the preseason, and not up to par. And Drew Lock not having a great time as well because he's currently hurt. So I don't know. There is a lot of people that, including myself, that want the Giants to go ahead and like trade for a quarterback like Jameis Winston. A late round pick for Jameis Winston, Tyler Huntley, the guys on the Browns roster, as DTR is going to be their second quarterback. I really wanted him, but someone that can back up Daniel Jones that is like good. You know what I'm saying? So if Daniel Jones goes down, we'll be okay. So I'm not confident in this quarterback room at all. Even if Daniel Jones does play, how long is he going to play for? That I do not know. So as I'm getting messages here, I always get messages while I'm doing a video. So, all right. Running backs, Eric Gray, Devin Singletary, Tyrone Tracy. I think everybody expected this trio to be there. However, Dante Miller did not make the 53-man roster. And listen to me. I know he's a great story. I know people love him. But it was kind of lackluster in the preseason. I expected this guy to kind of go off, break a few runs out, right? Because showing off his speed. I found watching Dante Miller that he doesn't have the play strength just yet. Does that mean he can't play in the NFL? No, I think he has a spot in the NFL, but to keep a fourth running back on the roster, I don't know how I feel about keeping Dante Miller on the active roster. I think the practice squad may be a great place. Maybe he gets picked up. That may be the case, but I think the only thing he provides is speed. He has no game strength at all. He has great juke ability, great elusiveness, but people like throw their arm at him and he's like clotheslined. You know what I'm saying? I saw that in the Detroit game. He just was very easy to bring down if you use strength. Now, sure, did he bounce off some tackles? I mean, sure, but that's just because he's so light on his feet. But he goes down too easily. I don't think he has much play strength. I think he's not going to win a lot of one-on-one battles to move the chain. So there's not really a point to keep Dante Miller as a fourth running back. I don't even think he'll see much time anyway. So let's just clear up the roster space. And like I said, I do like him, but you can't keep everybody. Wide receivers, this one was interesting. All right, this one was interesting. We all know the main four, right? We've got Darius Slayton, Malik Nabers, Jalen Hyatt, and Wan'Dale Robinson. Now, I wanted Allen Robinson to stay on this roster because I wanted some more veteran presence on there, and he's a reliable option should things go awry in the wide receiver room. But they kept Gunnar Olszewski. I think they only kept him because Isaiah Hodgins, one, was not doing very well fielding the kickoffs and punts and stuff like that. He was muffing a lot of that. And, he was in competition to be a return specialist. He kept muffing stuff. So Gunnar Olszewski, I think, kind of just won it by default, right? And Isaiah McKenzie is on season-ending injury. So his season is totally shut down. Sucks for him. I wanted him to make a good comeback. He had the thing with the gambling. He comes to the Giants, and we hope that he would do something. And he was all right in the preseason too. So sucks to see that. Isaiah Hodgins, the 2022 godsend, who he has a lot of respect in this Giants organization and a lot of respect among the fans, including myself. And he doesn't make the roster. So that's interesting as well. So the Giants are going to rock with Bryce Ford Wheaton, as including myself, I predicted that Bryce Ford Wheaton would probably find a way to stay on this roster just for the fact that they want to develop this kid. He has a lot of potential. He's a deep threat downfield, and he's he's a project. He's a project that they think they can see some value in. He was a very highly targeted undrafted free agent rookie out of West Virginia, and he is a fan favorite. So hopefully he does something. Let's see what happens. He also said on Twitter that to stop DMing him about giving up number 6 to Malik Nabers because he don't want number 6 either. So he'll gladly give it to Malik Nabers because that's not his number either. So there's that. So the rest of it looks fine. A lot of people had hope for Jair Asante. I liked him too. I thought he kind of reminded me of Kadarius Toney a little bit, but he didn't see much playing time in the preseason, so it kind of showed how the Giants felt about him. The tight end room, we don't see Lawrence Cager. What happened to Lawrence Cager? Did he get hurt? And did he stay hurt? Because I don't think we saw him at all in the preseason, which is unfortunate, because he's kind of like that receiving option at tight end that the Giants can use besides Theo Johnson. But we have 3 tight ends here: Daniel Bellinger, Theo Johnson, and Chris Manhertz. He is the last tight end to make the roster. So he's a blocking tight end. Daniel Bellinger is kind of a mix of a blocking tight end / receiving threat, so he can do both. And Theo Johnson is mostly just a receiving threat. So you have kind of the best of both worlds, including a little bit of a mix as well at the tight end spot. Offensive line, you got Andrew Thomas. All right, so let's try to get the tackles out the way, right? Andrew Thomas, Jermaine Illuminor. I guess you're going to say Josh Azudu is a tackle / interior offensive lineman. And then you've got Evan Neal, right? So those are like 4 tackles. Now, there were 3 undrafted rookies that made the roster. Congratulations to them. I honestly didn't think that any undrafted rookies from this year's class were going to make the roster because I just didn't think the class was that good. But there were 3 of them that made the roster, and 3 of them that actually performed very, very well in the preseason. Like, you can very visually see that they performed well, and I'm happy that they made the roster. Now begins their NFL journey. Jake Kubis is one of them, coming from the Alabama of the FCS, North Dakota State. And so he did. I watched film of him against Detroit, and I was very impressed with his, not only his IQ, but his just ability to run and pass block. So I think he's a good project there, and hopefully he can provide some value in the near future. John Runyon, obviously, John Michael Schmitz. I am getting the coughs now. Greg Van Roten, the new addition. Aaron Stinney. And then you have the depth players at center. Austin Schlottman, who did not have a great preseason, but here we are. And I believe the last one, no, we're good. So this is our offensive line. It's a lot better than what it looked like last year. I'm happy with this offensive line right now. I'll be honest with you. I am happy with it right now. Hopefully, there aren't a lot of major injuries in the season, especially during the beginning. I want to get off to a great start, but I think we have good starters. Like, let's start with the starter. I think the starters are good. Now let's hope that the depth doesn't need to come in for the starters. All right, so let's move on to the linebacker position. Now, we've got a lot of linebackers here. And again, a linebacker along with offensive line has been one of the biggest problems for the Giants for years. And it finally seems like these two positions are starting to actually come together. We've got we'll start with the off-ball linebackers, Bobby Okereke, Carter Coughlin, who is a survivor. Carter Coughlin is an absolute survivor, surviving on special teams. This guy is going to be like the next, what's his name? Zach, the long snapper we had for so long. Why am I blanking on his name right now? Zach Diassi. I can't believe I forgot his name, but Zach Diassi, he's going to be the next Zach Diassi. He's going to survive every regime. He's going to survive until he finally retires. So shout out to him. Carter Coughlin still surviving in there. Deontay Johnson, that was a very pleasant surprise, honestly. I mean, he was an undrafted free agent rookie from last year, and he comes back this year and provides some good value at the inside linebacker depth. So happy to see him make the roster. Darius Muasau, who I like. I really, really do like him. He reminds me a lot of Micah McFadden, just a little smaller. But he reminds me a lot of Micah McFadden. A lot of the same skill sets and a lot of the same weaknesses as well. So I'm interested to see how he will do if he is asked to play. All right, so let's talk about the edge defenders. Boogie Basham makes the roster. A lot of people thought that he wasn't going to make the roster because the Giants were constantly having him out there, including the last preseason game against the Jets where third stringers and roster bubble guys were out there, and Boogie Basham was out there as well. So, Ryder Anderson didn't make the cut. There were a couple of guys, Ovi Ogofo, who a lot of people loved out of LSU, the undrafted free agent rookie. He didn't make the cut. However, Benton Whitley, who was doing very well in the preseason, now I was very shocked about. Starting with the Detroit game, going all the way down to the Jets game, like he was turning heads. His name was being called on a lot, either a tackle for loss or a sack. He's had a couple of sacks in the preseason. So shout out to him, man. He did a really good job. I'd never even heard of this dude. Like, even when I went through the undrafted free agent rookie list, I think he was a tryout. I don't remember, but his name, I didn't even know who he was until Detroit. And I am very in tune with the roster. But that roster was changing by the minute because the Giants were just adding bodies there to throw out there in the preseason to keep their starters healthy from going out there. So he was one of the names that popped out, and here he is on the initial 53. Now, who knows if he stays on there? Who knows if he's later cut and added to the practice squad? But it shows their confidence in him and trying to develop him. So shout out to him. Brian Burns, obviously. Mike Aziz Ojulari makes the list. He was a guy that everybody thought could be possibly cut because Aziz isn't what Aziz was. I don't know if it's the injuries. I don't know what's going on with him, or just rust because he's never out there anymore. He's just not what he was. So sucks. Dexter Lawrence on the defensive line. This one shaped up. We kind of knew how it was going to shape up later on with Chapman. Elijah Chapman is the third undrafted free agent rookie. He's very undersized, but he has some power and has some speeds. And we also saw that crazy play against the Texans where he chased down a defender. So shout out to Elijah Chapman. Davidson has been doing decently well as a relief nose tackle. Jordan Riley is a good depth guy as well. After the Giants traded Jordan Phillips, I always knew, you guys know, if you guys are on this channel, I always knew that Nacho was going to get the nod as the second defensive tackle. I always knew that. I didn't think there was any point to having Jordan Phillips on the roster, and they traded him, and we got a 6th or 7th round pick in turn for him. So shout out to the Giants for doing something with that. But this is what it looks like right now, and I don't mind it. I still think it's a little bit of a weakness. Dexter Lawrence really carries that group, but is what it is. All right, the defensive backs. All right, guys, this is where things go negative, go bad, right? Deontay Banks, number 1 corner. Our projected number 2 corner right now, Cordell Flott, Nick McLeod, not looking good. Trey Hawkins, we don't even know. It could be any of those 3 out there in day 1 at number 2 corner. Who knows? Then you got Drew Phillips, all right, in the slot. And I assume whoever loses the outside corner spots will back up the corners, will back up the slot corner spots. All right, let's talk about the safeties real quick before we get on to the big head scratcher, right? The safeties. I'm not very happy with the safeties either. Jason Pinnock, Tyler Nubin, we don't even know if the guy's starting. Like we don't even know what he's doing, all right? Dane Belton, Javarius Owens. Now, there was a little mix-up with Javarius Owens, but he is on the active roster. That's why I waited to make this video. I wanted to know what his fate was, all right, making this roster. Isaiah Simmons being listed as a defensive back, I get it. He's technically a defensive back because he's going to be used at a money backer role. What does that mean? You're kind of like a dime corner. I don't think he's going to be used in the nickel. I think in a nickel, it's going to be your slot corner, Drew Phillips, right? He's going to be out there. But when it comes to those dime situations, dime packages where you have, you're going to have 6 defensive backs on the field. They're going to consider Isaiah Simmons as a 6th defensive back, so he's going to cover that second slot player, whether that be a tight end or the bigger slot wide receiver. Who knows? Probably the bigger, slot receiver. And then the normal wide receiver number 3 is going to be covered by Drew Phillips. And Isaiah Simmons is going to be used. He's still a linebacker at the end of the day, right? He's still a linebacker, but he's an athletic one. They're going to list him as a defensive back. Isaiah, it doesn't surprise me because Isaiah Simmons is a guy that's very much like Hassan Reddick. That's why he was drafted by the Arizona Cardinals like Hassan Reddick. These are 2 guys that play all over the defense. Hassan Reddick and Isaiah Simmons has played outside corner in their careers in college. Safety, linebacker, slot corner, edge rusher, all of that, right? They've done all of it. So this is just another experiment of where they want to do with him. He's not just an off-ball linebacker as the NFL tries to make him be. So this is just the Giants trying to see what his best strengths are, trying to play to his strengths. We'll see how much that works out. I'd rather just have a dime cornerback in there. I don't want to get cute with it. Just give me a dime cornerback. But sometimes the team's 2nd or 3rd best linebacker is better than the team's 4th cornerback. So there's that. You're going to call those packages as dime packages, but, they're probably going to still look like nickel packages because Isaiah Simmons is still out there. He's still kind of like a linebacker. And then you got your special teams who cares? So that is it. I mean, we're not going to see anything about this depth, the depth chart news until next week when they come out with their official depth chart. That's going to be closer to week 1. So I'm also... There is a wish list that I have. Check on Twitter. If you guys don't follow me on Twitter, the link is in the description below. Check on Twitter. I'll be coming out with a wish list tomorrow of who I want the Giants to bring in to kind of beef up this 53-man roster. I'm not going to add who I want them to cut. I'm just going to give them a wish list. It's not my problem who they got to cut. Just add the guys I want in there. Because you don't necessarily need to do a one-to-one, like I'm going to drop a cornerback for a cornerback. Usually you're gonna bring in a cornerback, you're gonna cut a wide receiver, you're gonna bring in a tight end, you're gonna cut a linebacker. You know what I'm saying? So that's what they'll do. Another big surprise cut also was Jacob Johnson, or the German guy. I want a fullback on the roster. I really do, but I just don't think they feel like they have enough space for him. So who knows? I think he'll add a lot to the running game, but whether the Giants want to bring one in or not, up to them. Brian Dable never had a linebacker. Never had a fullback on his roster before, so I don't believe he worked with one with the Bills either in his offense. So maybe they just didn't have a consistent role for him to give him a roster spot. So that being said, guys, that is the reaction. That is the 53-man roster. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Leave a like if you guys enjoyed. Subscribe if you guys are new. Thank you for BetUS. Thank you to BetUS for sponsoring this video. I am very tired. I need to go to sleep, and I will see you guys in the next video. Woo!